to Chinwag Central with Jem Turner and Garrett Beckett and Miro Griffiths.
Hello everybody, I hope you're all safe and well. My name is Jem.
I'm Miro.
And I'm Angharad.
And we want to give you a big warm welcome to Chinwag Central. And Miro is going to explain a little bit more about what we're going to be doing in this session.
So the idea of this was, I think it was during a conversation, wasn't it? Initially between me and Angharad, and then we talked to Jem about it as well, and then the three of us came together to plan the idea of having just a weekly chat where we have an opportunity to discuss some light-hearted topics as a way for us to feel connected during this very difficult time in terms of isolation, but also just to throw it out there, and hopefully it is of some interest to our friends, families, and networks, and indeed their friends and families as well, just to listen in for a short amount of time on different topics that we'll cover every week. But first and foremost, it's about trying to ensure that we can feel connected together, even though we may be in our own separate areas at the moment.
I mean, it's really great for me to be able to talk like this to two of my very favourite people. So it's, and we have some ideas, don't we, about what we'd like to talk about over future weeks and future sessions. So I've got a list here of things that we've initially talked about, but we also really want to welcome other people to send us ideas and suggestions about what we might chat about. We want to sort of be quite light-hearted, don't we, and talk about the ways in which we're getting through this very unusual situation that we find ourselves in. So far we've decided that we'd like a session where we talk about life hacks. We've all been developing some interesting solutions this week to living in isolation. I'm not sure quite how these things are connected to the self-isolation theme, but so far I've learnt that Jem has developed a new way of opening hot chocolate packets. Am I correct, Jem?
You are.
Which involves the novel use of a cleansed nail clipper. Please explain, Jem.
Yes, I'm excited to share it. It's life-changing, honestly. Don't knock it till you try it.
So we will talk about that under the life hack session. We'll also talk about Miro's experimentation with cleaning his teeth whilst in the bath, and Angharad's experimentation with making scones with milk that's slightly gone off. So this is the kind of life hack that we're going to be talking about. I'm sorry, did I say scone or scone?
You said scone. I'm just wondering if it's scones or scones.
Oh.
Hashtag scones or scones. People can.
Jem, are you a scone or a scone woman?
I'm a scone because if you took the S away, it'd be a cone.
Actually, that's a really good point.
That is a good point. I hadn't thought about it that way, Jem. Thank you very much for that. Yes. And what about you, Miro? Are you a scone or a scone?
I am a scone. I don't really eat them anymore because I'm gluten intolerant. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me.
It was very insensitive. I'm
so sorry.
I'm thinking back to all the times I really enjoyed having buttery scones. And now all I have is gluten-free dust.
We'll have to experiment with how to make gluten-free scones or scones, won't we? So that's what we mean by life hacks. What else are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about gardening. We're going to be talking about easy meals, particularly sort of store cupboard creations, exercising in the home, which should be quite good fun. And the last one I've got here is plus general frivolity.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Sounds good to me. Okay, so those are the things that we're going to be talking about. But as I say, we welcome suggestions from others as well. Now, Jem, where should people post their questions or let us know things that they'd like to talk about?
Okay, yes. So we're going to be having some guests. So we'll be announcing them before the episode comes out. So you can get in touch with us. You can either do that on the comments below on our channel, or we've actually got an email which I will put on the screen, but it's basically chinwagcentral@gmail.com. So Get in touch
Excellent.
with us, ask your questions, and we'll try and answer them.
Mira, what are we doing for the rest of this chat today, this chinwag?
We're going to focus on introducing ourselves because
Mhm.
for some people, hard to believe, but some people won't know who we are. And we need to be able to introduce ourselves so people are a bit more familiar with who we are and what we're like. But we're going to do that in a bit of a style. We're going to do it in the style of Desert Island Discs, which is a popular Radio 4 program. Although we shouldn't really be talking about our competitors, should we, to be honest?
No.
So yeah, there's other programs out there that do similar things to what we're doing.
Yeah.
But we're going to be looking at taking a little bit of a twist on Desert Island Discs as a way to tap into our musical tastes and understand a little bit more about what we enjoyed listening to in our spare time. But first, we're also going to do a little bit of twist because we're going to interview each other briefly about who we are to find out more interesting facts and things about our biographies. So I think, Harriet, I think you're going to go first, are you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, sounds fun. I'm going to begin by introducing my good friend, Jem Turner, who I'm so glad is doing this with us. So, Jem, here is what I know about you, and I hope that this is correct, and you can tell me if I'm on the right track with it. So, I understand that you're from West Yorkshire. You're a proud Yorkshire woman,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. And you are a blogger, and you are a consultant, and you are an influencer. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Info is such a weird term at the moment, but I suppose, I create content online and I like to interact with people online. So yeah, maybe.
And I know that one of the things you talk about a lot in your blogs and your vlogs, and in the work that you do with many different organisations locally, I know that you've also been working nationally with the NHS, Sky, ITV, all disability rights, disability awareness raising is quite key to what you have been doing.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? Were you always so kind of motivated to think about how you might challenge attitudes towards disabled people, or is this something that you've grown into doing?
Well, when I was young, I always say I was like a disabled in denial. Just because I was brought up like, you can do anything, you put your mind to it. Which, yes, I do try to do what I want to do. But also, I think I didn't see that there were so many barriers in the world. And it was only until when I got older and I realised that it's not about making a fuss. It's about making sure that we can all access the same thing. And yeah, I think when I got to high school and I realised that, they were going to trips abroad and I couldn't go, I started to see sort of issues that I wanted to try and be like, well, why can't I go and what's the issue? So yeah, and then I got to uni and just got involved in everything I could around disability, and that started my passion, really.
Yeah. So you actually studied at the University of Leeds, which is where Miro and I work as well. So you're a Leeds alumna, and I gather that you studied new media.
Yes. So I've always loved technology. When I was young, I wanted to be on the radio called Gem FM. It's actually a channel. It's in like...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even know. And then so I was like, oh, I can't even do that. But yeah, I've always loved technology. And I think when you're disabled as well, technology is so empowering. And I knew I wanted to do something involving technology. And now I've kind of mixed technology and disability together to try and, show, I don't know, be more inclusive and
make a difference. Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely. So I think in terms of successes, in 2017 you won Blogger of the Year in the Diversity in Media Awards, which I think was a huge accolade and a wonderful achievement. where next? What are your hopes and aspirations next for Gem Turner?
Oh, that's a good question. I think post-pandemic, I'd be happy with just, doing the same as what I did before. But if we're talking big dreams, I would say I love the media side of society, and so recently I've been working with ITV, and I'm really fascinated about how we frame news and how can we make sure that we're not doing the stereotypical framing of disability. So I suppose my dream would be to get more clients around the media, and work with them on making sure that we can be voices that's not just about disability. Obviously we want disabled voices no matter what, but yeah, why can't we have a story about anything that's going on and not focus on the person's background but just about their expertise on that topic? So I'm really passionate about that, and that's what I really want to focus on.
So do you mean something like, for example, Clarissa in the character, what is the drama series?
Silent Witness.
Silent Witness, where Clarissa was there and disability or impairment was not at the forefront of the storyline, although it was present and not denied.
Yeah.
And there was an episode, I think, where we engaged more directly with her experience as a disabled person, but her character was that she was one of the scientists within the team, playing a full part.
Yeah.
So you want to see more of that kind of representation and hopefully influence that.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be, and I'm not saying, like you said, not to deny it, because that goes back to what my childhood was a little bit like, but just blending the two together, and so that society can see that, we are all experts in something. It's just finding out what that is. So, yes, that's the dream. But
do you think, though, if I could take you back to your childhood, do you think that the fact that your family or your parents encouraged that kind of can-do attitude, do you think that in some ways it instilled a confidence in you, or do you think it was a bit of a shock when you discovered that the world was not quite how the Turner household operates?
No, I definitely am glad, because it, like you say, it's made me who I am, and I don't think there's any harm in going through the journey, however
yes, I see.
you need to, but I think there's definitely, it is a journey, and whether that you find that out when you're young or when you're older, I definitely think there needs to be more support, because I had amazing cheerleaders and my parents, whereas for some people that might not be the case. So that's why being inclusive is so important, because who do you go to if you haven't got that? I don't know.
No, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Thanks, Gem. Well, I'm going to finish just my introduction of Gem by giving some more light-hearted aspects to Gem. So I gather that, well, we've already said that Gem has a love of hot chocolate, because we've already mentioned that. Anything sparkly, now I can vouch for that, because Gem has an amazing collection, for example, of sparkly shoes, which are something I'm quite envious of, but also sparkly Prosecco, I see. Prosecco girl, a good boogie on the dance floor, and maybe we'd be dancing to McFly, would that be right?
Yeah, so I met my childhood crush, well, one of, Harry, at the awards in 2017, and that just completed my life.
That was it, that was...
Yeah, when I met him, I said, oh, I've been to York, that was the closest I've ever been, and he put his arm around me and said, well, I think this is closer now. So it was just
what a smoothie! What a smoothie! Swoon!
So that's me in a nutshell, really. Not much to say.
I think there's lots to say about you. Okay, thanks a lot. Who's next?
Right, I think I'm introducing Miro.
Right.
So, I'm not going to lie, everybody. We only met basically on Zoom, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we did. Last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we've seen each other on campus. I definitely recognise you for your activism. So this week we weren't a lot about each other via the virtual internet, so bear with me. But I do know a few facts. Here we go. Okay, so you are from the Wirral, which that's where you are to this day, I believe. So look at my notes. Hold on. You're a teaching fellow at the University of Leeds, and you started by doing a degree in psychology.
I did, and I hated it.
And you hated it. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why?
So I did my degree at the University of Liverpool. Nothing against the University of Liverpool, I should hasten to add. I didn't enjoy the subject matter. I didn't enjoy the content. I didn't like the way that it was framed either. It was my first real exposure to discussions in literature that tended to try to frame people and determine people's quality of life very much through the knowledge of biology and and the way that our bodies work, the way that our minds process information. And so some of that deterministic framing of who people are, what they do with their lives, how they should live their lives, and so on, really sat uncomfortably with me. And I was conflicted with staying. And then I thought, well, I'm getting a lot of discounts here, and I'm getting a good access to student discounts in terms of food and shopping. So I'm going to stick around for 3 years. So I stuck around. I did the degree. Obviously learned some very useful transferable skills, research, reading, writing, and so on. And then after that, I decided to go and do my master's at University of Leeds in distant learning disability studies, where I was taught by Colin Barnes and Alison Sheldon. And then I went off to do my PhD back in Liverpool at John Moores University. And then, as you said, I got the opportunity to work as a teaching fellow at university. I never looked back.
Yeah. And is it cruel to ask for you to compare what's the difference between Leeds and Liverpool? Are there any favourites?
Well, I enjoyed both places. Obviously, living close to Liverpool, spending a lot of time social, in terms of leisure activities. Liverpool is a wonderful city to live in terms of the kind of the culture. I haven't spent a lot of time in Leeds outside of work, but I can tell that both places are deeply committed to supporting their students and supporting each other as a community to follow follow individual aspirations. But also, I think what's quite interesting is the emphasis that is put on what do you want to do with knowledge, and what do you want to do with research, and how do you want to improve communities, particularly communities that have been marginalized for many years, or historically have been marginalized. So there's definitely a sense of trying to establish networks of support and networks where we can try to work together to improve communities and also indeed improve society as a whole. Thinking about what do we mean by inclusion, what do we mean by accessibility, and that's something that I've found quite unique, particularly about Leeds. In terms of that emphasis placed on we want to be inclusive and accessible, but what do we actually mean by that, and having the conversations that come from those kind of discussions.
Yeah, amazing. And in my notes it says that you have been an activist from the age of 14. Can you tell us what you started doing at that age?
Well, I didn't know much what I was doing. I was a little bit confused in terms of what does it mean to be a disabled activist at that time. I think it was an opportunity to really reflect on my own life experiences, and raise that question of, well, for years I've been called a disabled person, and similar to you, that kind of, there was an uneasiness about it growing up, and it got to a point where, particularly around 14, I was being exposed to other disabled activists who were working on issues surrounding disabled people's emancipation. There was constant questions around rights and accessing environments that have previously been shut off from disabled people. And it was a pinnacle moment because it was the first time I was introduced to what's referred to as the social model of disability. And it was an opportunity to have a way of describing my experience of disability, and one that wasn't emphasizing me as a problem, but questioning the way that society is organized, and having a way of describing that experience of marginalization, but doing so in a way that places the emphasis on government policy, people's attitudes, culture in a wider sense, the environment, the built environment as an example. So it was a real, it was a real significant moment for me because it allowed me then to engage with people and activities that was all about trying to challenge the way we organize our communities, we organize our society more broadly. So I got involved, in working with other young disabled people about what does it mean to be a young disabled person, what was the kind of important issues in our lives as young disabled people. A lot of that was around access to personal assistance, having access to continue education in terms of going to university, or accessing the labour market, and then from that I got opportunities to influence different agendas and different groups, and I've tried to balance my time for pragmatic reasons really between those who want to engage quite considerably with resistance practices, protesting, direct action, disruption, but also working alongside those who want to collaborate with those powerful infrastructures that we have in society, where you can then try to make change from the inside. And I think as an activist, I think there's a place for both. So a lot of my activism is try to balance those two significant paths to trying to hopefully create change.
Amazing. Wow. All from the age of 14. Amazing.
I'm 31 now, so it's, I'm getting tired.
Yeah. I love it. It's great. And final question from me is, what do you like to do when you're not at work? What's your hobbies and what do you like doing?
My hobbies. Well, I'm quite a, I like to think of myself as quite an easygoing chap. I have a particularly keen interest in film. My perfect amount of film watching in a day would probably be about 3 films in a day.
3 films.
When I was an undergrad, I used to try and get 3 films in a day. So I used to watch a film before I went to university. So I used to watch one about 6:30, 7 in the morning.
What?
And I watched a couple in the evening as well after university.
That's dedicated.
When I was doing my undergrad, I tended to try to, because I mean, again, it obviously depends on your responsibilities and your your commitment. But I tried to keep mine like a job, so I never did any work on a weekend. Never did any work in the evenings. Like I started work at 7:30, 8, and I would work till about 6, 6:30, and that would be it. Then I wouldn't do any more after that, because I think it's important that you do find the balance between resting, which is equally as important as reading and writing yourself.
Yeah.
So I very much enjoy film watching. I also enjoy people watching as well. I get told off a lot by my partner because I sometimes zone out of conversations and people watch. And I also like to make up stories about people. So if we go for a meal, we'll usually spend the meal making up stories about other people that we can see having their dinner. Why are they having their dinner? What's going on in their life? What conversations are they having? And so on, and making up fantasy stories about them. And yeah, I have as I'd say, I got a keen interest in film, and my passions. I have a very I'm very proud of my herb garden. I like herbs, I like smelling herbs, I like eating herbs. I also very much like board games. Play a lot of board games and video games in my spare time. I thoroughly enjoy debating politics and having discussions with people who maybe are not aligned with my political views. And also, and Harrod will know this very much, but I really like eating cheese.
Let's just say that. I think the audience may not have heard that. It was cheese, wasn't it? You really, really like cheese, don't you?
I really like cheese. I like to talk about cheese. I like to eat cheese. I like to read about cheese.
Cook with cheese.
About cheese. So
yeah.
I get very excited by cheese.
Okay.
Mm.
So we all know what to get you for any gift. Of any
Yeah,
sort.
cheese.
Preferably hard cheese. I'm not a major fan of soft cheese. I think
Oh,
there's something
okay.
suspicious about soft cheese. I think hard
blue
cheese.
cheese?
I'm okay with blue cheese to an extent.
Do you have a favorite cheese, Miro?
Do I have a favorite cheese? There's a really, I can't think of the name of it. We have a Portuguese deli in the local village. They have a really nice used milk cheese, which is
Oh,
really nice. But I can't think of it. I'll find out the name for next time.
okay. Okay.
That's my favorite cheese in the
Very
moment.
good. Okay, and finally, is someone going to introduce me?
Shall I introduce you, Angharad?
It would be really kind, thank you. I think I should be. You two are more interesting, but go on.
No, I think,
Stop that.
everybody is in their own right is interesting.
Hmm.
Well, let's find out. So, Angharad is I believe, is the joint director of the Centre for Disability Studies at the University of Leeds, and you're a sociologist. Have you
Yes.
always studied sociology? Has that been your trajectory in terms of academia?
Well, in brief, I went to Durham University, where I initially began on combined social science, and I really hadn't experienced sociology before when I was at school. So I decided I would take a module or a course in sociology as part of my degree, and I just loved it. So that's when I transferred, in fact, to do sociology and social policy combined. So it was about discovery of sociology, and since then I've loved it. It grabbed me.
And a lot of your work is around disability, isn't it? And disabilities, and you have talked quite a lot about the importance of allyship to different social movements and different activist groups. Would you consider yourself to be an ally of disabled people in their fight for social justice?
I would say that first and foremost, that's not something I can define. It's more what other people think of you and judge you by your actions. I also think being an ally, I'm not sure one is ever an ally. I think one is becoming one. One is always trying to practice allyship and probably not always getting it right, but having to be very reflexive and consider what you're doing and how you're doing it. So do I try to practice allyship, which is not, I think, speaking for disabled people, but trying to be there and put whatever skill sets we may have to use for disabled people. I do try to do that. Yes, I believe so. I believe so. And I do care very passionately about disability rights, quality of life for disabled people. I do.
And I know that since meeting you, an area of interest to you is inclusive play as well. Do you want to say a little bit about that? What does that mean, inclusive play?
Yes, absolutely, I am. Well, over the last few years, actually, it's something that has become an interest for me. For a long time, I've been very interested in inclusive education and believe very strongly in the importance of inclusive education. And inclusive play is, I think I would define it as in two ways. First, about inclusion in opportunities for play for disabled children and adults, because I don't think that play is something that only children do. And it's very important for people's well-being that they have those opportunities for play, recreation, leisure, and so on. And so it's about access and inclusion in those opportunities to participate. But also, I think inclusive play is about opportunities for disabled people to be playing in inclusive settings, to be included within playful activities within communities, and so on. So it's about all of those things. And it's also about seeing and recognizing the importance of play for the sake of play, and not just play which has been repurposed for rehabilitation or therapy. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that necessary rehabilitation and therapies shouldn't be playful. I think that they should. But I'm saying there is a place for play that children and adults feel in control of, that they choose, that is voluntary, that is about enjoyment, participation and inclusion. That's what interests me. And there are a lot of barriers still to play for disabled children here in the UK and indeed around the world. Some of which are, about poorly designed play spaces, lack of consideration in the design of toys. Some of it is about less than inclusive practices in play spaces and playgrounds and attitudes of other children and even other children's parents. Some of it is about the travel time to play. If you want to take your child to an accessible playground, how many are there within each town or each city? There's a whole lot of barriers. But another one is that very often, and I don't know if this is something that you two would recognize, sometimes a disabled child's days and weeks are very highly scheduled in terms of moving from, school, and after school you have, some kind of therapy or intervention. It's not going swimming and splashing about with dad, it's hydrotherapy, So as Michelin Mason once said, who's another disability activist I very much admire, other children play, but you do therapy. And I think that that's also a problem, is the lack of balance in some disabled children's lives between time for pre-play and time for all these kinds of interventions into their lives, which are at best meant to enable them in certain ways, and at worst are about perhaps normalization, making children fit some kind of idealized version of the child. Does this make sense? So play for me is a quite political thing, actually. It might be fun and it should be fun, but there's also a sort of small p politics to play that we need to recognize. Who gets to play, how they get to play.
And it'd be interesting to see over the next few weeks, particularly with isolation, for the majority of people, as we adapt our environments to provide us with opportunities to engage in play and leisure activities, how they may be adapted and how we may think differently about the ideas of play within our homes or within our gardens or within our shared spaces with others, and hopefully that will encourage people to think differently about how we can make play address some of these historical ways of playing which have tended to exclude groups of people as well. Indeed,
and also maybe help people recognize the importance of play for not just in terms of, let's say, child development, which is the way that it's often presented in, and I'm not denying that play is important for child development, because it is, but there's a lot more there around mental health and well-being that we should recognize as well, which is equally important. So yes, I'm all for playful moments, which is, I think, what we're engaged with in now, in a way. What we're doing is something playful.
Well, let me ask you some more playful.
Okay, ask me something more playful then.
So, well, actually, before we get to that point, let me just clarify. So, you've lived all over the UK, I believe.
Yes.
Well, you grew up in Stratford-upon-Avon.
Mostly, yes.
Yeah. Where has been your favourite place to live?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Probably there, though I'm very fond of Cumbria, which is where my family lives now, because it's very, very beautiful. So probably, yeah, I think my heart would sort of say somewhere between Stratford-on-Avon, Shakespeare Land, and Wordsworth Land, in fact, in the Lake District, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Or Beatrix Potter.
And I have here that in terms of your passions, family, friends, flowers.
Yes. Absolutely.
Do you have a favourite flower?
I do, yes.
Go on.
A rose, and a particular colour rose as well. I really love apricot coloured roses, sort of peachy coloured roses. I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, I like that.
And you enjoy good company and chin wags. You
do.
also like to read crime novels, I hear.
I do,
And you
particularly
like-
Italian crime novels.
Oh, Italian crime novel. And you like to watch reruns of Waking the Dead and Vera. Now, I
Yes.
should say, when I was looking at this, Waking the Dead, I've not heard of this. What is Waking the Dead? Because I thought you said The Walking Dead. When I read it, I thought it was Walking Dead.
No, I'm not into zombies.
Why are you interested in zombie apocalypse?
No,
I
no.
know it's something very different, isn't it?
No, Waking the Dead, it's a sort of, I don't know, would you describe it as a police procedural, something along those lines? They're a cold case squad,
Right.
and they kind of, yeah, it's very dramatic. There's a, you know, a team, and there's the forensic scientist, and it's very much like Silent Witness, really. It's that kind of thing. I love all of that kind of thing.
And my final question, well, I know that, for context, I know that you love cake. And my final question is, what is your favorite cake?
Lemon drizzle, Miro.
Lemon drizzle.
Yes,
Is that the right choice? Do you approve, Jem?
I approve. And my mum made one this morning. Sorry, but it's incredible.
Will you eat a slice for me, please?
Yes, of course.
I mean, it would be very noble of you, but if you could try to eat one for me, a slice for yourself and then one for me, that would, if you could, please.
It's gonna be hard, but I'll do what I can.
Thank you, Jem. I really appreciate it.
Well, I think that's been a good opportunity to kind of find out things about each other.
Mhm.
And now I think we need to delve a little bit deeper into thinking about maybe some skill sets that we have for certain scenarios and indeed our musical choices. So I'll hand over to you, Angharad.
Okay, so back to the desert island format. So let's imagine then that the three of us are shipwrecked on a desert island together. Oh, and I can see, so there was that a sort of Hawaiian...
I was just, you know, when they transform on TV and it goes like, ooh.
Right, well, we'd really like that to happen, but we're still learning with this technology, aren't they? But
Yeah.
Miro, where are we?
Oh, should I try and transport us somewhere?
Please.
Well, I got three options for you. Okay, so I have three. I found 4 beaches for us to choose from.
Right.
We'll go quickly through these choices.
Okay.
And you may, Angharad, maybe you could give a quick audio description.
I will.
So the first one is this one. Angharad, what can you see?
I'm not so sure that this is a sort of desert island. This looks a little bit like the west coast of Britain somewhere, to be perfectly honest with you. It's got that slightly muddy sea. It's very open. We're looking out over a promenade. Not so much a desert island, really, this one, Miro. We've got a large, very wide beach with some dog walkers. I presume this is before the request that people stay home and don't frequent beaches, Miro.
Yeah.
Well, what I will tell you is
There are some benches.
well, I'll tell you now. This is my beach. So I live about 5 minutes away from here. I frequently sit on this bench near this bench.
How lovely!
My wheelchair here. and eat halloumi fries. And that is Wales over there. There you go. And that's 3 little islands over there. Okay.
So what is this coast called, or this is?
Well, this is West Kirby Beach.
Ah.
So overlooking Wales.
Right. So we could possibly be stranded in West Kirby.
Well, we could be on Hill Island over here.
Okay.
If you wanted it. But no, okay. I will get rid of it. I don't think it's your choices. So
no, we're all thinking it could be the Wirral.
It's gone. Okay, now moving on.
If it was funny, I'd be well up for it.
Well, what about this one?
Oh, well, that looks very nice. Could we live on this beach? So this is again a large sandy beach with a much bluer sea, blue sky, somewhere quite sunny. Not sure whether this is Britain or not. Could be.
Any guesses?
There's a gentleman who's been swimming. There are some. It doesn't look so isolated and deserted, but I'm guessing that Google Maps don't go to many uninhabited desert islands.
It is hard to find uninhabited islands. pictures,
Mm.
decent quality pictures on these islands.
But we could be stranded on that beach. What do you think, Jem?
Yeah, I'd be well up for that.
well,
Now, where is that?
This is the Scilly Isles.
Oh,
Mm.
Now let me
looks
tell
very
you the
nice.
third one we have here.
Oh,
This one is in Mexico. And finally, you can have here.
Oh,
now you're talking.
yeah.
Let's just
Look at
hold
that.
it there. Hold it there. So we have a very tropical looking, lots of small islands. We could be marooned on one of those islands, I think, possibly.
Yeah.
Or on different islands.
Yes.
I could be here. Jem could be here.
Oh no, I
I
don't want to
think
be on my own.
I think we'd like to be together, Miro, possibly.
Yeah.
But if you want to be well, Jem and I are going to be on the same island.
I
No,
don't want to
Jem is
isolate.
here. I'll be here.
Okay. So just to describe it, we have an aquamarine sea, blue sky, a series of small islands can be seen off the coast, each of which is very heavily forested by the look of it. Looks quite tropical. Where are we, Miro?
Well, that's a great question. I can't remember. It is. Hold on. We are. Oh, we're at an. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Muko
Angthong National Marine Park. Is that in Thailand or somewhere like that?
It is in Thailand. If I zoom out. Yes.
Okay. So everybody, if we can return now to our screen where everybody can now imagine that we are in Thailand, marooned on one of those uninhabited islands that we've just been looking at. So let's imagine that. Now, I've decided that there happens to be a deserted but otherwise very handy, well-designed and accessible desert island hut that we're all living in. Okay, so we've been very fortunate in that respect. We've salvaged from the wreckage of the ship a range of useful assistive devices and general stores and provisions. So we're not going to have to be like Bear Grylls on this island, basically.
Oh,
You know, I know, it's a big relief.
I bet. I know what. I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Right.
I think Bear Grylls probably brushes his teeth when he's in the bath as well. I'm just going to put it out there. If anyone knows Bear Grylls, question to him, please.
Okay,
or
well,
if Bear
we'll
Grylls
revisit-
is watching.
Yeah, Bear Grylls could be watching, Jem, who knows?
Just
But if
saying.
he is, we want to know whether he cleans his teeth in the bath, and we'll revisit this important question and others similar in the life hacks session that we're going to do in a few weeks' time. How well do you think we would all get on, and what kind of personal skills and attributes we would bring to this situation? I'm going to start with Em. Do you think we'd all get on, and what would you bring to this dynamic?
Well, we've only communicated together for a week, and I have noticed some sarcasm in the group. So I do worry that this would, heighten if we were deserted. So that's my only worry. But apart from that, I think we've all got a good sense of humour. What could I bring? I suppose I'm a good talker and a good listener, so I'd keep us entertained.
You absolutely would.
Physically, I don't know. I mean, I could bring my nail clippers if we need to cut anything.
Yes. Well, as I say, we've been able to salvage essentials. So clearly one of the things we'd have done just before we left the ship is we would have said, have you got your nail clippers with you, Jem?
I'd already have it. Yeah.
Oh, would you? Sorry, you'd already have it.
Yeah.
Strapped to you. That's fine.
Put it in the bag.
So you'd bring your charm, your kindness, your listening ear, your conversation, your frivolity at times, and seriousness at others, and your nail clippers.
Yeah. I could schmooze anybody. If we had any, break-ins, I could slowly charm them. And, send them on the way.
So if some pirates came along, you'd charm the pirates. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's me.
Thank you very much. Miro, what do you think? I mean, I don't know where the sarcasm is emanating from. I can't imagine.
Are we not? I think sarcasm is a very intelligent form of humor. I think we should give it space to grow and to organically nurture it in a way that suits the entire group on this desert island. I suppose I would.
Does it suit everybody though, Miro?
And so moving swiftly on, I think
Yes.
I would be interested in discussing and maybe helping to facilitate conversations about authority and democracy within the group. So how would we establish democratic procedures? Would we have voting systems? Would we have positions that we could be elected to, such as chief of the island, for example?
I mean, I feel like we all know who would be chief of the island.
I feel we all know who would be chief of the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who? He
No,
said.
so, but again, I don't want all the power to go to my head, so I want to be able to have some sort of procedures and mechanisms to overthrow me if you think that my sarcasm is too much.
I think it's a frightening thought, but yeah. Okay.
I don't want a Lord of the Flies situation. That's
No, we do not want that. We do not want the Lord of the Flies, which I had to study, I think.
And I'm very particular about organisation, so I think that I would like to be able to bring some organisational skills. Have different areas of the island for different things.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Angharad?
Well, let me think. I don't know if I know how to start a fire. I should really have learned that by now. I feel that that's a skill set that I lack. I think I could probably invent interesting dishes from, the tins of probably, what would we have salvaged? Corned beef, maybe? I'm not quite sure. I think I could help with the cooking. I could be cheerful, like Jem, quite practical. Positivity. I might be able to make us some shelter, although we have got a hut, we might need an extension. So I could probably turn my hand to things like that, maybe.
Maybe
We
get
have the
a
right to-
lemons for a drizzle.
I might be able to find us a lemon tree so that we could, make some. I don't know how we've got dry flour, but we could try.
We'll bring it with the clippers, the flour.
Right, yes. We've managed to get some dry flour from the ship
Yes.
to the island. Well, yes, and make some lemon drizzle cake, yes.
It's a slight
Pancakes.
interjection, sorry. Are we having gluten-free flour? Or are we ostracizing people in the group already?
Well, there's some gluten-free flour. I
Yeah.
can see this is actually going to be quite complicated, but we'll try our best. Now, if I may stop us now I'm sure we have many more skills and attributes that we could bring, but one of the things we've also been able to salvage, which is remarkable, I think, in many ways, is a music system. So actually, we're going to be able to listen to some of our favourite tracks as well. And we thought we'd like to give some sense of the kind of music that we'll be listening to on this island. So Miro, I'd like to start with you. If you were to choose one track to take to this desert island, and there will be others, but just one, if they're the first and most important, what would it be? And can we listen in a little to that?
Absolutely. Let me...
Are you going to introduce it?
I will do, yes, I will do. So this is one of my favourite songs, and it's by a legend of music who was taken too early in his short life, Buddy Holly, and this is a song called Every Day. And I'll play about a minute. Should we listen to a minute?
Let's give us a flavour of what we'll be listening to, please.
And if you can't hear it, please tell me so I don't just listen to it for a minute on my own.
Every day it's a getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day it's a getting faster. Everyone said go ahead and ask her. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day seems a little longer. Every way love's a little stronger. Come what may, do you ever long for true love from me? come my way. Hey, hey, hey.
There we go.
That is
Oh, wow.
wonderful.
I've never actually heard that, you know.
Did you find it quite cheerful?
Yeah.
I thought it was a very upbeat choice, Miro. Thank you for that. That would definitely keep us quite, I think that feels like a sort of good morning song while we were trying to get ourselves organised for our day on this desert island. I could imagine putting that on. What else? Of course, we'd need some food. So I'm going to guess, Miro, that you would like to make sure that there is some cheese on the island.
Yeah, we need a refrigeration system, don't we, really?
Yeah.
Which
I
is-
mean, we'll have fish and coconuts, won't we? Because I think there's never a desert island situation where there isn't fish and coconuts, it seems to me. What else would you like us to have saved other than cheese, though, Miro?
the island.
Mm,
I think we should have some nice fruit. A selection of fruits. Maybe we can bring that on in a tin system on our boat. I'm
Right.
thinking peaches, maybe.
peaches.
Nice peaches.
Some tinned peaches.
Yeah.
Mm.
I,
So we're going to have some cheese and tinned peaches, yes?
cheese
Oh,
and
that's
tinned
a
peaches.
strange combo.
Not so good, not necessarily together, no.
Well, I don't know, you know, because if you mix fruit and cheese together, I think it tastes very nice. To be honest.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I think we
Depends on
need a
the
jar
cheese.
of honey as well.
Honey.
Honey, I think we need to have a jar of honey that we could just scoop out whenever we fancy a little taste of honey.
Though we might be able to find a wild honey, you never know, but we
Mm.
certainly could do with it, because very interesting honey, it lasts a very long time. Didn't they once find some honey in like a Egyptian tomb or something, and it was
Yeah, I think
technically edible or something?
I may be wrong, but I don't think it ever goes off, honey. I
No,
think
it's
it never goes-
remarkable.
I don't think salt goes off either, does it? Salt never goes off.
I wouldn't have thought there was anything to go off, but
So
it's
why
interesting.
has it got expiry dates when you go to the shops to buy honey and salt? This confuses me.
I didn't realise how expensive honey could get. Like,
Oh.
I saw
Something you can
things like
get
£25. What?
I can get one for 45 if you buy that kind of
Oh.
Manuka.
Was it the Manuka honey?
Yeah, the Manuka honey.
I think so, yeah.
Apparently there's a lot more Manuka honey for sale than is produced.
Mm,
So you have to be quite careful about Manuka honey.
right.
Okay, so we've got some honey. We'll be having some cheese, we'll be having some peaches, but we'll also be listening to some music that Jem has chosen. So I was wondering, Jem, what track you would like us to be listening to together on this desert island?
Well, whenever I'm feeling a bit blue, I turn
Okay.
to a person who is Celine Dion. She's my one and only idol, and the song is I'm Alive. And it's just very upbeat. The beginning, it makes me like pump for the day. So yeah, let's listen to it and you'll see what I mean, hopefully.
We will. Come on, let's have a flavour of this.
Let's go.
Oh, I'm alive.
There's drum beat. Bit of swirling.
When you call on me, when I hear you breathe, I get wings to fly. I feel that I'm alive. When you look at me, I can touch the sky. I know that I'm alive. When you bless the day, I just drift away.
Oh, I could have taken more of that, but I found that very uplifting. Got
Yeah.
great lyrics.
I know. It's just a
How does she
very.
get into the clock system?
Say that again.
How does she climb into the clock? That's what I want to know.
I think it's CGI, you know.
Do
Oh.
you?
Yeah.
You don't think, wow.
Maybe. Do
She
you know
looks
what?
very glamorous.
The video.
I can imagine listening to it on a Sunday evening.
Yeah. She's got different genres as well, which is good. So if you're feeling, you know, like you want a bit of a ballad, she's got ballad, then she's got up tempo. So I am a true stan. I've watched her live 4 times.
I was going to ask, have you ever been to see her?
Yeah, best day ever. I got so overwhelmed that I was just like, I just silent, just staring. It was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is Celine Dion the one that did the Titanic song?
Yes.
Yes.
But I think she gets a little bit like, you know, those celebrities who have got that one song and she gets sick of playing it.
Okay.
I can
So,
imagine.
I try and, you know, mix it up a bit for her.
Yeah.
'Cause obviously
No, I think that's good.
we're quite-
Mira, have you ever been to see anybody live? Any famous bands or singers?
Who have I seen live? Well, I went to a new band called well, not a new band, a more recent band than Buddy Holly at least. Bears Den, which is a cool band to listen to. Went to see them in Manchester. I was very impressed with actually the access to the
Venue?
The venue. That's the word. Yes, the venue. No, Bears. I would recommend Bears Den. The music is quite nice.
What's the genre?
It's a little bit kind of rock, indie rock scene. I'll tell you what band I went to see. The most recent band I went to see was one called the name's just gone out of my head. What's it called?
It'll come back in a moment, don't worry.
Cactus Blossoms.
Cactus Blossoms.
Cactus Blossom, which would have been, I was contemplating which one, but they're quite a new band. So I didn't choose their song for my choice. But Cactus Blossom is a kind of country style band from, I think they're from Tennessee. 2 brothers, and they write all their songs, and they've got 2 albums out at the moment. They're very short songs, they're only like 2 minutes each song. But I really recommend listening to their 2 albums if you can back to back, because it's a really good style of music.
Well, I've been to see Wet Wet Wet.
Ooh, classic.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Robbie Williams at the height of his fame.
Oh wow,
I know.
Yeah.
I bet that was good.
It was good.
Where did you see him?
That's a good question. Manchester, maybe? It was a long time ago.
What's your favourite Robbie Williams song?
Angels.
Yeah,
No.
I like She's the One, you know, as well.
Yes, that's a good one too.
So,
Yeah.
I think
Rock DJ.
now I know that we've got a song choice for you, Karen, but it's not Robbie Williams, is it?
No, it isn't. No, because I wouldn't put him. I think he's great, by the way, if he's listening. But yeah, no, he's not in my top sort of 5 or 6. No, not these days, which I find myself going far more back into the 1980s, really.
But if we go to your song choice, do you want to introduce it?
This is a song that I think many people will recognise, but it is definitely before either of your time, I suspect. Well, I know. So it's Rio. Her name is Rio, and I chose it as well because it's got a really kind of slightly tropical vibe to this. So I felt this would be quite appropriate for our desert island, albeit it's also, I think, about a yacht, which we have just presumably had our yacht sink or crash onto some rocks. So it may not have been a good choice in that respect, but it's got a tropical vibe to it. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Here's Rio by Duran Duran.
Oh, they don't make bands like they used to.
Oh,
No, they don't. Well, I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that before.
I've never
what's the
heard
song?
it.
You've never heard Duran Duran, Rio.
Yeah, I've heard of Duran Duran, but I wouldn't be able to pull out a song from them.
Oh wow, even that. I know that.
In the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, even you know that, and you're definitely the youngest of this trio. So, Mira Griffiths, I need to educate you in the ways. Well, when we're on this island, you will hear a lot of Duran Duran. So, you know.
Well, I look forward to it. Just for context, how did the ship sink?
Oh, and I think we ran aground.
Whose responsibility was it to make sure we didn't run aground?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not taking responsibility for
Well,
all
all I'm going to
aspects
say
of
at
this.
this point is I'd like an inquiry at some point.
Well, you would. Right.
I think
Okay, so So we've got our music, we've got our provisions. I'm really hoping that there's some Nutella that we've rescued. That would be quite a cheerful thing. And I also think we need practical things like flour and pasta.
Yes.
Things that basically at the moment we might as well be on a desert island here in York, because I can't get flour and pasta here either.
Well,
So you know, obviously we would love it if there was enough. I mean, we haven't mentioned toilet rolls. We'd quite like some toilet rolls on that desert island, I'm guessing. Though, you know, we might have to resort to palm leaves or something, I'm not quite sure. At this point, I feel that this has been a somewhat lengthier chinwag than we had intended.
yes.
And so perhaps we should conclude by telling people when our next chinwag, which will be, I think, a slightly shorter, more focused one,
Yeah.
will be. And is it, am I right in thinking that it's the 19th of April
It will
at
be.
6 p.m?
That's right.
And it will be viewable after that, but that is when it will become available in case anybody wants to make themselves a good cuppa and join us. And we will welcome people's suggestions for further lines of discussion.
Yeah, so just to clarify, that session is on life hacks. So if anybody has any tips they want to send to us, post it in the comment section or email it to our central email, and we'll read some out during our podcast.
Yes, and maybe we could even try them for the next time if
Yes,
we
indeed.
can on video.
We will try to give some of them, you know, a test run to see how well they work in our lives as well. So if people have some suggestions, we would welcome them.
Let's
And
do
if
it.
there are any other fellow toothbrush brushers who do it in the bath, please do post underneath, because I don't want to be alone out there. I know there are others who do it.
Please
and I-
tell us that it's wrong.
And I
Everyone.
want
Please.
to welcome all of us together in open arms. So
No.
please, if you want to join, if there's anybody who wants to set up a society on toothbrush brushing in the bath, then please reach out to me. I'm happy to do that.
I'm not having it.
No, this is not one that I'm going along with, to be perfectly honest with you. I go along with many things, Dr. Griffiths, but that's going too far.
It will change your life. The time that you will save, that you can then do other things with, is unbelievable.
Yes, it is unbelievable. You're right. And on that note, I think we should bid everybody goodbye. Goodbye from Chinwag Central.
Goodbye.
Chinwag Central is created, written and produced by Angharad Beckett, Miro Griffiths and Jem Turner. The artwork is by Emma Fairweather, music by Dave Griffiths, and the subtitles transcription for YouTube is by Beth Lavery.